everyone. Thank you for joining in today. I welcome you all. I'm here to share with you a tip that I find very helpful when getting contributions from people outside my organization. So who am I? I'm the one who docs. Not like a bad guy, so minus the hat and the beard.
And more like this. We all love docs as code. While it's fancy to handle docs as code and it provides immense benefits to any documentation project, it also creates a few problems for not so tech savvy contributors. When I say contributors, I mean both writers in your writing team and contributors outside your department or even outside your organization. Contributing to a docs as code project requires knowledge of Git and understanding of how to operate other command line tools. In addition to this learning effort, it also raises the bar for all the things a contributor should know before they can even make any changes to your project.
But can we make it simple so that we can ask people to go to our docs website and create new content using a web form? To do this, we need a content management system that allows us to create various forms based on the type of document we want to get into our documentation site. While there are various content management systems available, I want to focus on NetlifyCMS. NetlifyCMS is an open source content management system that supports Git workflow, which means that the content is stored in your Git repository, and when you make changes to your content from the website, the changes are reflected in your repository. NetlifyCMS supports GitHub, GitLab, and Bitbucket repositories. It also offers various templates. If you want to start a new repository based on Hugo, Gatsby, or Next.js or others, you can go through the website and directly start your project using a new template. Other thing you can do is that you can add NetlifyCMS in an existing site. Later in our demo, we'll look at how to add NetlifyCMS to documentation site using mkdocs. Before we jump to the demo, let's first understand how NetlifyCMS works. You begin by adding NetlifyCMS to your repository. In the demo, I'm using GitHub, but you can also use GitLab or Bitbucket repositories. The next step is to configure an identity provider that will allow your contributors to access NetlifyCMS and create new documents or modify existing ones. In our demo, we'll use Netlify Identity Service that allows users from your site to modify content without requiring them to have an account with GitHost. It means that if you host your repository on GitHub, you can configure NetlifyCMS such that authorized user with Google account can access, modify, and create documents without requiring a GitHub account. After user logins to NetlifyCMS, they are presented with the NetlifyCMS's admin page, using which they can create new docs or modify existing pages. Finally, all these changes are pushed to GitHub by NetlifyCMS. So in short, you can configure your existing documentation site with NetlifyCMS. Contributors can then visit the NetlifyCMS admin page and use the web form which you can configure to create or modify documentation for your site. And when the contributors do this, it automatically creates a pull request in your GitHub repository. For this demo, I'm using a bare bones mkdocs project. It just includes one index.md file in the docs folder and bunch of other configuration files. Let's switch to terminal and create a new folder inside docs folder called admin. Now in this admin folder, we need to create a new file for NetlifyCMS. Let's create a new file and call it config.yaml. This is the configuration file which NetlifyCMS uses. The configuration file allows us to set various options that NetlifyCMS supports. The first option is Backend. This option specifies backend protocol and the publication branch. The backend protocol Git Gateway acts as a proxy between NetlifyCMS and GitHub. The editorial workflow options adds an interface for drafting, reviewing, and approving posts from NetlifyCMS. The final option is Collection, which defines the structure for content types we will create by using NetlifyCMS. For our demo, we'll only use the title and a body for the document we create. Now, inside the admin folder, we'll create another file. Let's call this file index.html. And this is the entry point for the NetlifyCMS admin interface. It means to access the CMS from your site, users will need to go to this admin page on our site. It's a basic HTML page that loads the NetlifyCMS JavaScript file. So part 1 of the configuration is now complete. These are all the changes we need to make inside our repository. That is creating an admin folder and adding a configuration file and index.html file. So let's quickly switch to GitHub. So the next part is just configuring Netlify. So it involves connecting this repository to Netlify. Let's open Netlify and create a new site from Git. Let's select GitHub. I've already authorized Netlify, so this should go through. Yeah, and I'll look for my demo repository and select it. Since I've already created a netlify.toml, that's Netlify configuration file, I'll just go ahead and accept the defaults and click deploy site. Let's look at the deploy log now. Let's look at the preview. And we get the same mkdoc site as we did locally. All perfect. Now we go to site settings to configure identity. Switch to identity and select enable identity. So identity is for other people to log in to your repository for making changes. Now we have different options in this. For registration preferences, we can either have open registration so that anyone with a GitHub or Google account can join in, or have invite only so that only people we invite will be able to edit. Let's add default login providers as Google and GitHub. And scroll down, go to site settings, services, and enable Git Gateway. The Git Gateway connects your site to GitHub APIs and allows contributors to create content through NetlifyCMS. We already configured GitHub and Google as identity providers in the backend. We now need to create a frontend for authentication. We do this by injecting the Netlify identity widget script to our documentation site. Let's call it Netlify identity widget and select save. Okay, the second part of the configuration is now complete. Let's switch to the site and go to the admin URL. So it opens index.html page. Woohoo! Login with Netlify. Let's select my GitHub credentials to log in. And I'm in. So this is the default NetlifyCMS page, which allows you to create a new documentation based on the collections we specify. Let's click on New Doc, give it a title, and on the right side you see what the final post is going to look like. So this is selected to Markdown. We'll switch to rich text, and so people who don't know Markdown, let's breathe in while we type. I'm kidding. So I'll switch to super speed mode. Anyway, so people can compose their post and then click save. Now what clicking save does it automatically saves the changes, creates a commit, and opens a pull request in GitHub. Let's switch to GitHub and see our changes. Go to the pull requests, and there it is. The document we added through the web UI is now available in GitHub, and it has also added a nice little label. We look at the file changed, and this is the content we composed in the web UI. Let's switch back to NetlifyCMS and change the status of this doc. Set the status to in review, and what it does is it's simply to manage your documentation workflow. When we check the labels on pull requests, it's now from draft to review stage. There's also a different view in NetlifyCMS called workflow, and it presents all the documents in progress like nice in Trello-like format. You can also have this as the default view if you want, and you can also compose a new post from this page. For now, let's just open our document and let's change status to ready, and let's just see the preview of this. So because it's Netlify, you get previews of local branches. Here's our document, and this is how it will look on the main website. Let's switch back to GitHub and check the status. So on GitHub, we see that its label has changed again, and you can either merge this pull request from the GitHub, or if you want to do it through NetlifyCMS, you just hit publish. Hit OK. And now all the changes are published in our main repo. So let's quickly switch to Netlify and see the changes. The site is, I guess it must be still deploying. Not showing up. Let me just refresh. Oh, there it is. So it's building. Time to start breathing again. Let's look at the deploy log. You got saved. It's already done. Let's just open the publish site. And here it is, the document we created from our web UI, just there in our main site. Let's switch to GitHub, and the pull request is automatically closed because we click publish button. And if you look at the commits, we can see the commit and the merge commit on our main branch.
Let's do a recap. We all love Docs as Code, and it provides many benefits. However, getting contributions from people who don't know how to use Git is a bit difficult. One way we can make this process easier is by adding a content management system to our documentation site. NetlifyCMS is a good solution for this problem, and it comes with a Git-based workflow to manage documentation using a web-based form. I hope you found this talk informational. If you have any questions, feedback, or ideas, you can find me as Gaurav Nelson on GitHub, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Thank you.